Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andy from Shocker Games, coming at you with my brand new Madden NFL 16 team generator. This will decide my team I manage in Madden NFL 16 when it comes out in August. So we have our bracket right here. I randomized the seeds, that way it's all fair, it's all legit. And then I'll have the two matchups, and then I will put it in the spinner right here. Put them in the spinner. I would spin it like this. Whatever the spinner lands on, it's just the bottom. And that bottom or top team will move on to the next round. So our first matchup is the St. Louis Rams versus the San Diego Chargers. So let's spin this. Well, it looks like the St. Louis Rams go on into the second round. Put a score right here. St. Louis Rams. Okay, we got St. Louis Rams right there. Our next net matchup is the New England Patriots versus the Arizona Cardinals. Let's spin this. Uh-oh. It is the Arizona Cardinals defeating the New England Patriots. Let's move on to the second round. They will face the St. Louis Rams. So our next matchup is the New York Giants versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Spin this. It is the Cincinnati Bengals coming on top to move on to the second round. Submit scores. Our next matchup is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Atlanta Falcons. Looks like the Falcons are moving on to face the Cincinnati Bengals in the second round. Submit scores. So another second round matchup is Cincinnati versus Atlanta. Okay, now our next matchup is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington Redskins. Well, it looks like the bottom team's coming up top again, with the Washington Redskins defeating the Philadelphia Eagles. Our next matchup is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Miami Dolphins. The bottom team's won the most. Oh, again, the bottom team wins again. Miami defeats Dallas Cowboys to go on to the second round to face the Washington Redskins. The next matchup is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Chicago Bears. Spin this. Well, the top team comes up for once. So it looks like it's the Buccaneers defeating the Chicago Bears. At least they don't have to play as Jake Cutler. Our next matchup is the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. Looks like Detroit's coming on top here against the Buffalo Bills to move on to the second round to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Our next matchup is the Indianapolis Colts versus the Oakland Raiders. Derek Carr versus Andrew Luck. Let's see who wins. Looks like it is Andrew Luck coming up on top here to go on to the next round. Round 2 to face whoever wins New Orleans Saints versus the Baltimore Ravens. Let's check this. Spin it. Oh, it looks like the New Orleans Saints are going to go into the second round to face the Indianapolis Colts. Our next matchup is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Let's see who wins this. Oh, it looks like the bottom team is coming up on top again as the Minnesota Vikings defeat the San Francisco 49ers. Our next matchup is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers are coming on top in this matchup. going on to the second round to face Minnesota Vikings. Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben versus Teddy Bridgewater. Our next matchup is the New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos. Looks like the Broncos are coming up on top in this matchup. Let's see there. Our next matchup is the Cleveland Browns versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, it looks like the pesky Browns are going to be facing Denver in the second round. Our next matchup is the Green Bay Packers versus the Houston Texans. Looks like the Green Bay Packers are coming up on top in this matchup. Our next matchup is the Carolina Panthers versus the Tennessee Titans. This is the last matchup of the first round. Looks like the Carolina Panthers are coming up on top here. They're going to go on to the second round to face Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Well, that was our first round so far, and looks like our second round is going to be the St. Louis Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals, Cincinnati Bengals, Atlanta versus Atlanta Falcons, Washington Redskins versus Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Detroit Lions, Indianapolis Colts versus the New Orleans Saints, Minnesota Vikings versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, Denver Broncos versus the Cleveland Browns, Green Bay Packers versus the Carolina Panthers. Let's get on to our first matchup with the Rams facing off against the Cardinals. Looks like the Cardinals are coming up on top in this matchup, going on to the third round. The next matchup is Cincinnati and Atlanta. Looks like Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals are going on to face the Arizona Cardinals in the third round. Our next matchup is the Washington Redskins versus the Miami Dolphins. Looks like the Washington Redskins are going on to the third round. The next matchup is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Detroit Lions. Looks like Tampa Bay is going on to the third round to face Robert Griffin III and the Washington Redskins. Our next matchup is the Indianapolis Colts versus the New Orleans Saints. Andrew Luck versus Drew Brees. Looks like Andrew Luck is going on to the third round with his Colts. He's going to be facing either the Minnesota Vikings or the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's check. Looks like the Minnesota Vikings are going to go on to the third round to face the Indianapolis Colts. The last matchup for the third round would be Denver Broncos and Cleveland Browns. Let's check this. Looks like the Cleveland Browns are coming on top here, going to the third round. And our last matchup of the second round is the Green Bay Packers versus the Carolina Panthers. Looks like the Panthers are coming on top here, going on to the third round to face the Cleveland Browns. So now, after 2 rounds, our matchups are Arizona Cardinals versus Cincinnati Bengals, Washington Redskins versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Indianapolis Colts versus Minnesota Vikings, Cleveland Browns versus Carolina Panthers. Our first matchup is Arizona Cardinals and Cincinnati Bengals. Looks like the Arizona Cardinals are going on to the semifinals. Our next matchup is the Washington Redskins versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looks Looks like the Redskins are coming on top here, going on to the semifinals to face the Arizona Cardinals. Our second last matchup of the third round is Indianapolis Colts versus the Minnesota Vikings. Looks like the Indianapolis Colts are going on to the semifinals. Our last matchup of the third round is the Cleveland Browns versus the Carolina Panthers. Looks like the Carolina Panthers are going on to the semifinals to face the Indianapolis Colts. So the semifinals are Arizona Cardinals versus Washington Redskins, and Indianapolis Colts versus the Carolina Panthers. Four really good decent teams. Okay, so our first matchup is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Washington Redskins. Looks like the Washington Redskins are going on to the final. Who are they going to face? Either the Indianapolis Colts or the Carolina Panthers. Look like the Indianapolis Colts are going on to the finals to face the Washington Redskins. It's getting tense. So our last matchup of the whole bracket, I'll be either playing as the Washington Redskins or the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck versus Robert Griffin III. Let's see who wins. I'm gonna do one more spin. Looks like the Indianapolis Colts are going to be the team I play as in Madden NFL 16. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm Andy from Shaka Games. So long, see ya.